One of the most crucial components of our modern global-scale economy is the concept of the supply chain. From discovery of raw materials, to refinement, to manufacturing, to packing and shipping. If just one link breaks, the entire chain can crumble, and citizens are left without convenient or often vital supplies for everyday life. As more and more of the materials, resources, and consumer products we rely on either come from overseas or are manufactured with components that must be imported from other countries, we are becoming increasingly vulnerable to the collapse of a complex system of interdependent supply chains, causing massive disruptions to daily life. We have taken for granted the ability to drive to a store and browse hundreds of thousands of consumer items, each with its own unique and fragile supply chain. But while certain non-essential items like electronics or toys have their own uniquely delicate supply chains, other everyday essentials like clothing, food, fuel, and building materials are just as vulnerable. And we're seeing substantial shortages in all these areas. For years now, at least 1 in 20 companies has suffered a supply chain disruption costing at least $100 million. Data has revealed that disruptions due to supply shortages hit record-breaking levels in 2021 and were up 638% in the first half of the year. But such disruptions to the flow of goods have been increasing for a variety of reasons. For example, there was an obstruction in the Suez Canal earlier this year, an extremely important waterway responsible for 10% of world trade. The canal was blocked by a 400-meter-long container ship that ran aground during extremely high winds. Hundreds of ships were dead in the water, global trade was severely disrupted, and one person was killed in the 6-day salvage operation to free the vessel. While considered by some to be a freak occurrence, another ship ran aground and was delayed just 6 months later in the same location. As supply lines stretch, these kinds of disruptions will continue to take a toll on goods finding their way to consumers, and economists have estimated that every day with a blocked Suez Canal disrupts over $9 billion worth of goods. Factory fires, caused in part by severe weather events and a shortage of skilled workers, have also been on the rise, shooting up 150% in just the last year, marking the highest number of factory fires ever recorded. These have further bottlenecked the dire supply chain predicament, in addition to costing dozens of lives. There's also been a container shortage caused by these severe disruptions, resulting in the average cost of shipping a container from China to the United States rising from $1,794 to almost $12,000. And this is merely an average, as some companies have reported shipping costs this year as high as $30,000 from Shanghai to Los Angeles, assuming companies can even find a shipping container to use at all. Then, there is the continued reality of worldwide pandemics affecting the operability of both ports and ships. Amidst pandemic outbreaks in Asian countries, hundreds of thousands of job losses, non-operational or congested ports, and stranded crew members have continued to bog down international shipping operations, with far-reaching economic consequences. Lastly, there's a much longer-term and much more catastrophic component affecting the world's supply chains: climate change. As extreme weather events become more frequent and severe, with conditions more intense than our infrastructure is built to withstand, the likelihood and length of supply chain disruptions will continue to rise. Hurricanes, fires, and floods threaten inventory, factories, and ports, and the vessels attempting to deliver these materials and products to their destination. According to all recent studies, consumers are set to continue facing even higher prices and fewer choices in the near future. Economists and logistics leaders are claiming they have no expectations that this crisis will be under control until 2022 at the earliest. As turbulent conditions combine in the near future to intensify the current crash of our interconnected supply chains, we're getting a small preview of what could be a drastic and permanent change to our way of life.
Well, as you're out running errands, you may have noticed some empty shelves at the store and some essentials are hard to track down. It's similar to what we saw this time last year.
Empty shelves are everywhere. It's a problem across the USA, and people are venting on social
Granani
media.
says this cycle has continued throughout the pandemic due to an increase in demand.
First time, there's a kink in every link in the supply chain.
Not enough containers, there's not enough ships, there's not enough trucks, there's not enough warehousing.
There's a lack of being able to actually get the materials to make the product. And once it gets there, there's high demand and very little supply.